You know what they say? A house without children is like a sky without stars. That thought haunted me every night. Dylan and I had been married for 2 years, but the excitement of the wedding vows had fizzled out fast. He was kind, no doubt, but something felt off, like I was standing on shaky ground. I thought having a baby would fix it. I mean, how could it not? A baby is glue, messy, sure, but it holds things together. I convinced him to try. He wasn't thrilled, but he went along with it. Maybe he thought I'd drop it eventually. But, oh, I didn't. Month after month, nothing happened. Every negative test felt like a slap in the face. And then Dylan started retreating into himself. He got quiet, distant, buried in work. He said he was processing, but all I saw was a man slipping away, and I wasn't about to let that happen. That's when the idea struck. It wasn't noble. Hell, it wasn't even ethical. But I told myself, desperate times call for desperate measures. If Dylan couldn't give me what I wanted, I'd find another way. And that's when I noticed Tony, tall, charming, always walking around shirtless in his yard like he was auditioning for a cologne commercial. The man was a walking temptation, and honestly, he made it too easy. I told myself this was for the greater good. It wasn't about betrayal, it was about survival. Dylan needed me to be happy, and I needed a baby to feel secure. A woman has to play the cards she's dealt, I thought, and I was ready to stack the deck. So, I started plotting. Little conversations here, a casserole there. Slowly but surely, I pulled Tony into my orbit. And when the time came, I made my move. What Tony didn't know wouldn't hurt him, right? Or so I thought. But life has a funny way of flipping the script. What started as a way to save my marriage was about to turn into the biggest storm of my life. They say, when you dance with the devil, you better not miss a step. Well, I was leading the dance now, and Tony was following my every move. It started innocent enough, sharing a laugh over the fence, complimenting his ridiculous six-pack while pretending to water my plants. I knew what I was doing, and honestly, it felt exhilarating. Tony wasn't just a pretty face. He had that charm that makes you forget the world for a minute. He'd tell me about his modeling gigs and how hard it was to make a name for himself. Poor guy, struggling to make rent while looking like a Greek god. The irony wasn't lost on me, but I didn't care about his problems. I had my own agenda. It wasn't long before I invited him over under the guise of helping with the kitchen sink. Classic, I know, but sometimes the old tricks work best. I made sure Dylan wasn't home, of course. Tony walked in, all smiles, and I could feel the tension crackling in the air. It was like the universe was daring me to cross the line, and cross it I did. The first time felt surreal, like I was watching someone else, but the guilt? That didn't hit me. Not yet. All I could think was, this is it. This is how I fix everything. I told myself it wasn't cheating. It was a solution to a problem Dylan didn't even know he had. Tony didn't ask too many questions, which was a blessing. He assumed I was on birth control, because why wouldn't I be? I let him think that. Manipulative? Maybe. But when you're chasing a dream, you don't stop to count casualties. Weeks turned into months. Every time I saw Tony, I made sure to keep him hooked, telling him how special he was, how much I appreciated him. Men are easy like that. Stroke their ego a little, and they'll do whatever you want. Then it happened. I missed my period. I took the test in the middle of the night, hands shaking like a leaf in a storm. When that little plus sign appeared, I laughed and cried at the same time. I'd done it. I was finally pregnant. But when I told Dylan, his reaction wasn't what I expected. He just stared at me, his face blank. No joy, no excitement, not even relief. "That's great," he said, his voice flat, like he was reading a script he didn't believe in. I should have known then that something was wrong, but I brushed it off. Maybe he's just overwhelmed, I told myself. He'll come around. So I threw myself into planning for our happy future, hoping his mood would improve. But Dylan, he wasn't the same. He started making these little comments, these cutting jokes that left me wondering if he knew more than he was letting on. And just like that, my dream of a perfect family started to feel like a house of cards, trembling in the wind. They say, you can't build a castle on quicksand. And boy, was my foundation sinking fast. Dylan's mood was like a dark cloud hanging over our house. No matter how many times I tried to talk about the baby, about how we'd decorate the nursery, or how much I wanted the little one to have his eyes, he'd just nod absent-mindedly or drop one of those sharp little jokes. You know, he said one night, swirling his whiskey like it held the answers to the universe, I hope the kid takes after you. Lord knows we don't need two of me in this world. The way he said it, with that bitter edge, sent a chill down my spine. I tried brushing it off, telling myself he was just stressed. After all, a baby changes everything, right? But deep down, a seed of doubt had started to grow. Did he know? No, I told myself. He couldn't possibly. I'd been so careful, so calculated. This was just him being moody, and I'd fix it. I always fixed everything. Then came the night I found the papers. It was late, and Dylan had fallen asleep on the couch, still clutching that damn whiskey glass. I was tidying up when I saw the folder on the coffee table. Curiosity got the better of me. When does it not? So I opened it. Divorce papers. My name staring back at me in bold letters. My heart stopped. I mean, full on, chest tightening, can't breathe kind of stopped. This wasn't just a rough patch. This was the end game. I stormed into the living room, clutching the folder like it was a loaded weapon. What the hell is this, Dylan? I yelled, waking him up so fast he nearly spilled his drink. He rubbed his eyes, his face darkening when he saw what I was holding. So, you found them, he said, his voice calm in a way that only made me angrier. So I found them? That's all you've got to say? You're planning to leave me, and you didn't even have the decency to tell me? My voice cracked, but I didn't care. That's when he snapped. Tell you? Tell you what, Liz? That I know the baby isn't mine? That I've been sitting here, pretending everything's fine, while you've been sneaking around behind my back? The room went silent. I swear I could hear the blood rushing in my ears. What are you talking about? I stammered, trying to play dumb, but the look on his face told me it was useless. I'm sterile, Liz, he said, his voice cutting through the air like a knife. I've known for months. I didn't tell you because I wanted to see how far you'd go, and guess what? You didn't disappoint. I felt like the floor had been ripped out from under me. Sterile? That couldn't be true, but the way he said it, the conviction in his voice, I knew he wasn't lying. Still, I tried to salvage the moment. That's impossible, I said, my voice shaking. The baby is yours, Dylan. You're wrong. He let out a bitter laugh, standing up and grabbing a folder from his briefcase. Am I? Because this says otherwise. He slammed the medical report onto the table, and I couldn't even bring myself to look at it. I was cornered, trapped in my own web of lies. But the worst was yet to come. There, staring at Dylan, my throat dry and my mind scrambling for a way out. But before I could even open my mouth, he delivered the final blow. Good people talk, Liz, he said, his eyes narrowing. They've seen you. Running across the street to Tony's place, him slipping over here when he thought I wasn't home. Did you really think no one would notice? My stomach twisted into knots. Of course the damn neighbors. Nosy little buzzards always peering out their windows like their lives depended on it. I could feel the color draining from my face as Dylan's words sank in. He wasn't guessing. He knew. Dylan, it's not what you think, I started, my voice trembling as I grasped at straws. Tony, he was just helping me with what? He snapped, cutting me off. Your self-esteem? Your excuses are as pathetic as your lies. I was losing control of the situation fast. I needed to redirect, to defuse, but Dylan wasn't giving me any room to maneuver. He grabbed his coat and stormed toward the door. Where are you going? I demanded, following after him. To get the truth straight from the horse's mouth, he growled, throwing the door open. Dylan, stop! I cried, chasing him out into the night. My heart was pounding so hard I thought it might burst. He was heading straight for Tony's house, his fists clenched, and I could see this ending badly, very badly. Dylan pounded on Tony's door like he was trying to break it down. It wasn't long before Tony opened it, looking confused and a little scared. Hey man. Don't hey man me, Dylan barked, stepping inside without an invitation. Tell me the truth, Tony. How long have you been sleeping with my wife? Tony's face turned pale, his eyes darting between me and Dylan like a trapped animal. What? What are you talking about? I jumped in, trying to salvage what little was left of my dignity. Dylan, this is ridiculous. Tony's not— Shut up, Liz, Dylan snapped, his voice booming. Let him talk. Tony hesitated, his hands trembling. Look, I didn't mean for anything to happen, he stammered, but she started it. That was it. The dam broke. Dylan let out a bitter laugh, shaking his head like he couldn't believe what he was hearing. She started it, huh? Well, thanks for clearing that up, Tony. You can go back to whatever you were doing. This is done. Tony's mouth opened to protest, but Dylan didn't give him the chance. He turned on his heel and walked out, leaving me standing there, exposed and humiliated. I followed him back to the house, my mind racing for a way to fix this. Dylan, wait, I pleaded, grabbing his arm as he reached the door. We can talk about this. Please, I love you. He pulled away, his eyes colder than I'd ever seen them. Love me? He echoed, his voice dripping with disdain. You don't know the first thing about love, Liz. If you did, you wouldn't have done this. I stood there, frozen, as he disappeared into the house and slammed the door behind him. The sound echoed in my chest, final and unforgiving. For the first time, I realized just how badly I'd underestimated him, and just how far I'd fallen. Then I ran after Dylan to our house. I thought we needed to talk again. People say, the best defense is a good offense, so I did what any cornered animal would. I lashed out. My voice was shaking, but I didn't care. How could you keep something like this from me? I demanded, pointing at the medical report he had thrown on the table. You knew you were sterile, Dylan. Why didn't you say anything? You made me go through hell for nothing. He stared at me, his face unreadable, but I could see something flicker in his eyes. Hurt, maybe, or disappointment. You think I knew? He said, his voice calm but with an edge sharp enough to cut glass. Liz, I didn't know. I found out a few months ago. I went to the doctor because I was worried about why we weren't conceiving. That's when I found out. I scoffed, trying to keep my composure. And you didn't think to tell me? You let me think this was my fault? Do you have any idea what I've been through? Dylan's jaw tightened, and for the first time in a long time, I saw a crack in his armor. You've been through? He said, his voice rising. What about me, Liz? Do you know what it feels like to find out you'll never be a father? To hold on to that pain and try to figure out how to tell your wife, only to find out she's already pregnant with someone else's child? His voice broke on the last word, and for a moment, I saw the raw, unfiltered grief he'd been hiding. It hit me like a freight train. He wasn't just angry, he was broken. I opened my mouth to say something, anything, but the words caught in my throat. I couldn't deny it anymore. I had done this. All of it. I had lied, manipulated, and betrayed him, and now we were standing in the wreckage of a life I had set on fire. I'm sorry, I whispered, my voice barely audible. Tears started streaming down my face, and for once, they weren't crocodile tears. Dylan, I don't know what I was thinking. I wanted us to be happy. I wanted to fix things. Fix things? He repeated, his voice bitter. You didn't fix anything, Liz. You destroyed us. And for what? To trap me with a baby that isn't even mine? I broke down completely then, sinking to the floor as the weight of my actions crushed me. I was scared, I sobbed. I thought I was losing you. I thought a baby would bring us closer. I made a mistake. A terrible, unforgivable mistake. Dylan stood there, silent, his hands clenched into fists. I could see the struggle in his eyes, the war between his anger and the love he once had for me. And then, for the first time since this nightmare began, I saw a single tear slide down his cheek. He wiped it away quickly, but it was there, a silent testament to how deeply I had hurt him. "I loved you, Liz," he said quietly, his voice raw. "I really did, but this is too much. I can't come back from this." "No," I whispered, shaking my head. "Dylan, please, we can work through this. I'll do whatever it takes. Just don't leave me." He looked at me then, and the finality in his eyes was like a punch to the gut. "It's too late, Liz," he said. "Some things can't be undone. The divorce papers are already filed. I'm sorry, but this is the end." I wanted to scream, to beg, to promise him the world, but deep down, I knew he was right. There was no coming back from this. As he turned and walked away, I sat there on the cold floor, my tears falling freely. They say, "You reap what you sow," and I was finally facing the bitter harvest of my own making. They say, "You don't know what you have until it's gone." Well, I was getting a front row seat to that lesson in real time. Dylan packed a bag the next morning, barely saying a word. He didn't slam doors or yell. He just moved like a ghost, quiet and deliberate. And that hurt more than anything. I tried to talk to him, to stop him. "Dylan, please," I begged, standing in the doorway as he zipped up his bag. "Don't leave like this. We can talk. We can fix it." But he didn't even look at me. "I've said all I needed to say, Liz," he muttered. "I'll have the lawyer contact you about the details." The words were cold, like ice slicing through my chest. "So that's it? You're just walking out?" My voice cracked, and I hated how desperate I sounded. He finally looked at me then, his face a mixture of pain and exhaustion. "What else is there to do? You lied to me, Liz. You cheated. You used me. How am I supposed to stay after that?" I had no answer. What could I say? He was right. The silence between us was unbearable. Then he picked up his bag and walked past me, leaving the house without a single glance back. The sound of the door closing felt like the final nail in the coffin of our marriage. A few days later, I decided to confront Tony. If Dylan wasn't going to stay, then maybe, just maybe, Tony would step up. After all, he was part of this mess too. When I showed up at his house, he looked surprised to see me. "Liz, what are you doing here?" he asked, his voice wary. "We need to talk," I said, stepping inside without waiting for an invitation. "About the baby." His expression shifted instantly, from surprised to defensive. "What about it?" "It's yours, Tony," I said bluntly, "and I need to know where you stand. Are you going to help me or not?" He ran a hand through his hair, looking like he wanted to be anywhere but here. "Liz, this wasn't what I signed up for," he said, his voice shaky. "You told me you were on birth control. You lied to me." I felt my temper flare. "Are you seriously playing the victim right now? You knew what we were doing. This isn't just my responsibility." "Yeah, but it's not entirely mine either," he snapped. "You manipulated me, Liz. You planned this whole thing, didn't you?" I opened my mouth to deny it, but the words wouldn't come. He wasn't wrong. I had planned it. But hearing him say it out loud made me feel small. Tony sighed, his shoulders slumping. "Look, I can't do this," he said. "I'm barely keeping my own life together. I can't take on a baby, and I sure as hell can't deal with you." His words hit like a slap. "So you're just going to walk away? Like Dylan did?" I asked, my voice trembling. He hesitated for a moment before nodding. "Yeah, I guess I am." By the end of the week, I was alone in every sense of the word. Dylan had moved out, Tony was avoiding me, and even my parents had distanced themselves, ashamed of the mess I'd made. They say, "You made your bed? Now lie in it." And there I was, lying in the ruins of everything I'd tried to build, with no one to blame but myself. Looking back, I can't believe how blind I was, how selfish, how utterly foolish. I thought I could control everything, my marriage, my life, even people's emotions. But life doesn't work that way, and my mistakes blew up in my face like a bad joke. I was young, desperate, and stupid. I let my insecurities and fears drive me to ruin something that, for all its flaws, could have been saved. I thought I was being clever, but all I did was dig my own grave. If you're reading this, take my story as a warning. Lies, manipulation, and shortcuts only lead to heartbreak. Don't make the same mistakes I did. But life has a way of surprising you, even when you least deserve it. My parents, God bless them, eventually softened after my son was born. They were furious at first, of course, but when they saw me struggling, truly trying to rebuild my life, they stepped in. They helped me move into a small house not far from theirs, and they've been my lifeline ever since. I won't lie, it hasn't been easy. Being a single mom is tough, and some days I feel like I'm still paying for my mistakes. But I've found a little bit of redemption in the chaos. I started working as a freelancer, editing, writing, whatever I can get, and it feels good to stand on my own feet for once. My son is my world now, and every time I look at him, I'm reminded of how far I've come and how far I still have to go. Life isn't perfect, but it's mine, and I'm doing my best to make it something worth living. What's done is done, and I've accepted that. I can't change the past, but I can try to be better for the future, for myself, for my son, and for the people who've chosen to stick by me despite everything. And maybe, just maybe, that's enough.